Hello, FlutterFlow developers, and welcome to ApiFlow YouTube channel. And today we will talk about very interesting features that FlutterFlow provides to us. It's called conditional rendering using Conditional Builder. So we will discuss Conditional Builder today. It's very interesting component that allow you to use some condition to render one or another UI element. And how it can be used, I will show a few cases today. One of them will be related to data conditions when data is loaded from server or not, and another one will be related to data fields values when you can conditionally change view of your application depending from some features of users that is using this app. So in the recent video, I showed an application that render image carousel with some brands and then filter cars data using this carousel when user select some certain brand. But what is wrong with this application? It have one issue: when it loads, it shows error first when try to load images in this carousel. So what happened here? We have carousel and it's bound to brands application state list. And while this list is empty, carousel still tries to bind images and didn't find any values in this list, so it fails with error, and this error sadly is visible to our user, and potentially it can cause some crashes. So how we can fix this? We load our data in page load. So we need to go to our action, and actually what we will do, we will introduce a new page state variable called data is ready. And it will be type boolean, and initially it will be false. So now we save this field, and when data is loaded, after our parallel actions load data from the server and it loads from MySQL table, we will set state of our variable, and we'll set our data is ready to set value true. And when this variable will be true, we will then render our carousel. Before, we will show like empty box or data is loading box whenever you want. So here, our container, we will wrap into conditional rendering, conditional builder. Okay, so now we wrap carousel into conditional builder, and if something happens, it will be visible. If condition is not met, we will show something else. So first we will set our condition for visibility, and if our page state data is ready equals to true, we will show our panel. Else we will create a new component. Here we can use container also, and we will set the text inside text, for example, and we will align it to the center, and we'll write loading brands like this. So now when our data is loaded, our carousel will show brands. While it's loading, it will show text loading data, loading brands. So let's check how it works. As you can see, it render now without error, and it show loading brands while brands is loading. So this is effect we were expecting, and it works as expected. Now at the moment our application do not show any error and render loading brands label when it's loading. Great, it works. So you can use conditional builder to render data based on variables in the state and initialize the state based on condition of your application. Okay, let's go to next case. I want to show you also how you can use this conditional rendering with other application. I have a sample of some properties selling app, some random like real estate agency samples. So in this case, we will use Airtable. I have here some data in Airtable with properties and with users. And some of users is standard users, some is VIP, and some is agent users. So how we can build an app that can be used by different users at the same time and show different blocks of inside of UI using conditional builder. So first of all, I will go to ApiFlow as I use it to connect my Airtable and will connect my Airtable. I will create the Airtable connection. I will add access to my databases, grant access to ApiFlow, and now I will select my connection, then I will select real estate management database and will publish my project. That's all. It's available. I have my database and tables connected, and now I can download open API definitions. I downloaded it, and I can go to my application, upload file, and choose my open API definition. Okay, great. Now I need to go back to ApiFlow, connect authorization header, and add this header into FlutterFlow. Let's save. In my connected API definition, I have all actions required to list properties, list users, and let's check how it looks like, how it works. So if we call list properties, we receive quite complex objects of our properties saved in database. And I already created the data types for it. So we have property data type, property images. This is a list inside of property. And we have a properties list wrapper model. So we will apply to our list properties action now data parsing. We will mark it to parse to properties list, and we'll save these changes. So next we can go to our application page and now bind our list view of our properties to that query. So we will use a data query, API call, our API group, list property section. And next we will define a dynamic children generation, result of that properties as data type, data structure field records without changes, and we will call it properties list. So now we will use this data to generate all our cards of our buildings for our properties. And now we will bind all properties to it. So we will go here and use properties list item, data structure field, image. Image itself is a list, so we will use first image from it, and we will use URL field. As you can see, it's quite complex binding, but it can be done. And next we will bind our name of our building. It's saved in building field. And last one is we will use combined text. Here we will use $sign and add text data structure field listing price. So now we have price here. Let's check how it works. So as you can see, our application renders all the data, and we have it here. We can see it. It's nice list of our properties. But next task, what we want to do, as you can see, definitely our usual user can see this edit property button, and we have also VIP prices here in our database, and we want to show these VIP prices only to VIP users. And I have different users here in my database, so I want to separate my application view depending on our current user. So I will skip all logic related how you can build your application, logic for authorization, and etc. And I will create just very simple logic when I will select user using this dropdown. So I will create a user model now. I will use FlutterFlow feature to generate data model from JSON, so it will do some work for me. I have here ID, created time, name, identifier, and status. I will delete created time. I don't need it for this application. I will leave everything else. And next, what I will do, I want to parse my. I also will create a wrapping model because my data is returned with records field. It's usual data approach for Airtable data, and I will use user. It's a list. Records. Data type user. It's a list. Great. So now we have this users list, and we will parse our data to user list. Save changes. And now we will show our users here in our box, in our drop down, select the box in our drop down. So we need to bind our options to that list. We will bind it using query to my user. And query I call list users. Confirm. And now we will bind our options. Define option. List users responses, data type, data structure field records. Map list items, and we will use here data structure field name. Confirm. Okay, so we will have option as a name. But we need not name for an option. We need here status, because we will use a status. And next, what we want to do, we want to apply labels, and labels will be swapped it. So we will choose name here. It's name. And option values will be our list users as data type, data structure field records, map list items, data structure field status. So selected value will be status of the current user, and name will be as a label. So now we will see our users in our dropdown. Let's check it. As you can see, our users is loaded now, and we can select different users. So now we need to build a logic when we select a user, and we have condition based on this user status. So we will create a new page state variable. We will call it user status, and it will be type string, and by default it will be standard. Okay, confirm. So by default our user is standard user. When we select some user, we will apply its status. And now when we change something, when we select some value here, we will set page state, and we will set user status, set value to set widget state user. So it will set our variable, and using that variable we will display a date. So let's start with VIP status, and with VIP status we want to render another different price. So let's copy this row, and we will create condition that allows us display one or another row depending on user status. So we have two rows, and for second row I will use VIP badge I prepared before. So we will display that badge here in our row. Okay, drag it forward. We will have let's drag it to start of 0. Okay, so we have our VIP price here. So when we have a non-VIP user, we want to show this price, and when we have VIP user, we want to show this price. So let's wrap this widget into Conditional Builder. Now, if my user is standard user, I will show a standard price, and if it's not standard user, I will show a VIP price, or vice versa. It's how you like it. So to insert it, I need to cut it from my widgets tree and then insert it into corresponding branches. So now I have my usual price here, and I have my VIP price also in alternative branch. So our condition will be next. If user conditions, single condition, first value, property my selected page state, selected user status, not equal to VIP, then show usual price. If it's VIP user, then we will show our VIP price. And now when we will select a user depending on their status, we will show different prices. Let's check how it works. So by default, we have no user selected, and we use standard rule, and John Doe is a standard user. But let's check what happens if we will select VIP user. Let's select a VIP user, and we see VIP price actually, but it's not VIP price because we didn't bound VIP price. We just see markers that it's VIP. We will change text combination here, and we'll use VIP price here. So now it will show VIP price. And we select other user, as you can see, it's same price as before, like usual user price. And if we select VIP user, it must show us VIP price. So let's check it again. And its VIP price. Now it's quite lower than usual, and if you select usual user, it shows us usual price. So this is how you can change data that is rendered, and same approach you can use to display or hide this button, for example. So we will add conditional builder to our container here. We'll add to column, and we'll add conditional builder, and we will cut this row from the tree. And if our user will be agent, we will show ability to edit our property. If our page state user status equals to agent, then we show our row, else we will show something else. We will just show empty row, so it will not render anything in our view. So let's check how it works. You can see by default our user is not VIP user and not agent. And then if we have a VIP user, we see this price, and if we select agent user, we see edit property button. This is how you can use conditional rendering based on your data, based on different features of your data, from different sources, from user selection, and etc. So usually you can very easily manage view at some page using these conditions without navigation to different page. Do not build too complex UI using conditional builder, because it become too complex. It will be hard to track for you. Sometimes it's better to build different pages, but if you have some chunks of your user interface changing depending from user data, depending from current state of application, you definitely can use conditional builder to do this. I hope this video will be helpful for you. It will be useful for your applications development. Let me know in the comments what also topics you are interested in, what we can discuss. Thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.